I lost my brother 22 years ago.
Very
And
sorry to hear that.
that I wouldn't have been able to talk about these things until I had been into the coaching world and my journey in 2022. I would never talk about this thing because it was too painful. I somehow never processed the whole thing emotionally deeply because I was just going through so much. There were responsibilities to take, there were children to take care of. So, and you know how it is looking at each other in the family, you even try to suppress your emotions, saying, oh, if I show my emotions, what about the other person, my other sibling or my parent? How are they going to handle it? Maybe they'll break down. So each one tries to suppress their emotions, and that's what I did too. There was a point where it started showing up physically in my body. This happened in April, and October of 2022 I couldn't walk. My body just gave up. I was one by one, and this continued. I was one by one losing organs, which my body could do away with and yet keep me in that survival mode. And I had no clue, no understanding of all this until I did my life coach certification and realized how emotions played such a huge impact on our physical body. That the thoughts we create, because science has proved, right? If I create a happy thought and I'm thinking good thoughts, obviously endorphins are being flowed, and they're flowing into my body, and happy hormones are kicking in, and then they make the body feel light. But if I'm thinking thoughts which create stress and anxiety, cortisol is released in the body.
Hi, welcome to my channel, Grit, Grind and Gratitude, where we talk to micro entrepreneurs about their journey of becoming a micro entrepreneur and walking that path. Grit, Grind and Gratitude shares stories of resilience, of purpose, and values-led entrepreneurs who are shaping their futures boldly. Hi Namita, it's a pleasure to welcome you to my channel Grit, Grind and Gratitude. We are in the same community, and I've been knowing, for some time about the positive work that you bring into the world. So it is my pleasure to have you there for my listeners. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Dipanvita. First, my heartfelt gratitude to you for having me here today. I have also known that you've been doing this and you started this Grit and Grind podcast. And I've been waiting for my turn, honestly, so that I could share my journey as well with you. What I do professionally is now, after having a background in education for 30 years, I pivoted, and now I support women leaders and teams to navigate their way through stress and anxiety in a high pressure world. So my work centers around nervous system regulation so that they can show up. And I believe, that it's not the absence of pressure that brings in calm. It's the idea of returning back and centering into self and being grounded that helps us lead with calmness. And I have created a tool called the Calm Code, which is a guided journey through cards, and which, in one session helps the person taking the session, whoever it would be, whether it's a team together or a leader or any individual, to pick up a challenge and find a solution in one conversation.
Wow. So if I were to come to you, or anybody was to come to you, how would their journey look like?
I think you've already experienced the calm code, right, once. So, you know pretty much how it is. The calm code has 4 pillars, begins with centering, where we look at, what is actually unnerving. How does the person find grounding amidst all of the chaos of life and everything that we are doing? Because we become such doing beings and we've forgotten the sense of just being in the moment. That's the first pillar of calm, which is centering, and then aligning. So every time I believe that something is bothering us or unruffles us, feels unsettled, feels disturbing, is because it's not aligned with our true values. So we try to dig into that and then move forward to what is that one core belief around that challenge that they're holding to, which is not serving them anymore, which, having let go of that core belief around that challenge and problem, will make it easy to move forward. And then we move to what is that concrete one step that they can take. And at that step, I always tell my clients is that first small step. It could be as simple as today I'm going to read a page from a book, just as simple as that. It's just that one step forward. Ahead of that, if they want, then we map down steps, and I have a program which of course depends on how much time, energy, resources is the person willing to. I offer anything where between 5 hours to 20 hours of coaching to help the person move ahead in life, having a deeper understanding of their own self, their own values, their own beliefs, their own human needs, and then take it forward from there.
So the calm spells into centering, alignment. L
liberation.
Liberate
and by releasing that old narrative and move.
Okay, move forward basically.
Move forward.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me, you were an educator, you were a teacher, and then a school leader. How did you think of pivoting into this?
I think this is very similar to what I did earlier. To me, it seems every time I meet a client, they're just adults and holding a child inside an adult body, right? We're all there. We hold our inner self. That inner child is always present. It was during COVID that things started shifting. And unconsciously, I guess I had been manifesting this. We use the term manifestation, but how I see is, everything that we think through our thoughts, we create our reality through it, right? Everything. Just yesterday, I was giving a session at Dubai National Insurance, and somebody asked me about manifestation, and I said, "Aren't you really already living the life that you wanted at some point?" She said, "Yes." I'm like, that's what it is, right? It's just a big word, and it's how it's being used today, and people perceive it differently. So, I used to just say, at 50, I'll quit. At 50, I'll quit. Because teacher's life, or, life in school, the last 10 years of my career, I spent as a school leader. And my day would begin as early as 4 a.m. with messages of, how a bus had broken down, or who's not coming to school, or, who's on leave. So the whole planning bit. And then after coming back also, it's always about what happened, what's going to happen the next day, or parents calling, or, some challenge or the other. And I used to tell myself at 50, I'll quit, enough. I started, I think, when I was just 21 or 22. And at 50, I had a great career going, no signs of quitting. And I was happy doing what I was doing, all my needs being fulfilled. The love that one gets, the significance that one gets, the adulation, and everything was great. And then COVID happened. And then our school management started making some decisions, which as a school leader, one senses. And I was able to guess it's not going to really take the school too far. So one by one, the team began to disintegrate, and I also decided to step away from that role. When I stepped away, I was very clear that I was not going back to school anymore, because I had had my bit. I had done. I was also in a way saturated because I could do what I was doing with the back of my hand, closed eyes. There was no challenge anymore. That was something I was sure of. And it was also very fortunately by the grace of God that I could at that moment take that liberty, because fortunately for us as a family, both my daughters started working before COVID happened. One almost got all her visa and papers and everything done for her work permit in Germany at the beginning of February. In fact, second week of February, and then COVID happened. So, we all know how difficult it was for everybody post that. So I was fortunate, and they were the one who told me, Mommy, it's okay. You've done it for so long. It's all right for you to take a step back now that we are earning. I think before that, I always felt the responsibility of chipping in so that, we could give them the best. And then I took a back seat. A friend suggested to me, after a month or two of enjoying that freedom, I was again restless, what to do next. So a friend suggested that I do career guidance and counseling, a course in career, because I'd been associated to schools. I enrolled myself in a year-long course. I did the master's for career guidance and counseling. And that opened a whole new door, a new world of, I think, I wouldn't say work at that point. It was information, right? It was some things that I hadn't learned. A door of psychology where I could connect the dots, having spent so much time with students, with parents for 30 years, my own journey of life. And during the course, I also studied about, like how career is just one aspect of life, right? While we make it our whole identity. Every time you introduce, you're asked to introduce, we always introduce ourselves with the name that we've been given to this physical body, and then the role that we play at work. We forget every other aspect of our being very conveniently. And post that, because it was COVID times only, a year down the line, 2021, when I started working, and I established this brand called Mindful Mentoring, and I was working with students. There were a couple of students who, because we were doing most of the things online, I couldn't really get through to them. I felt there was more, but I really couldn't pinpoint my finger at what it was. And when the time for their renewal came, I told the parent, look, I'm not, really happy with the way things are going. So I would suggest you seek another counselor or go to somebody else. Because ethically, to me, it felt like if I'm not contributing, if I'm not adding value to this child, like I have no business just holding on to them. Maybe they need somebody else. And that's when the parent opened up and shared, that the child was having some mental challenges. They were facing some kind of, they weren't clinically diagnosed of depression, but low energy and other psychological aspects. And that drew me to do a bit more study, and then I was drawn even further to life coaching. So 2022, I entered into the life coach training, and that completely changed my world. The way I perceived the world, the way I thought, the way, I would see things shifted. And that's when I realized that this is what I want to do. And now it's been 4 years, and every conversation just makes, that lights up that spark in me. And I continue to dig deeper, continue to learn, so continue to do my more certifications. I've done my ICF, PCC, I've done my Master Coach certification in life coaching. And I just enjoy what I do, adding more value.
And then what prompted you to bring up the C.A.L.M code?
So the C.A.L.M code, I think we have a friend or acquaintance, whatever we may at this point refer to as. Samir is also acclaimed coach around this part of the world, and it was a conversation with him in a session of his clarity game, where I was trying to dig deeper and find how and what to do to, kind of establish myself as a coach and spread the word around my work. It's not only about earning, it was more about how to spread value. What I have learned is precious. Okay, what I have understood is not what is commonly being taught to either children or being told to people. So, of course, spirituality, our spiritual books and all do tell us about all those things. And yet, it just seems to me also, it was very different. When I did my first coach training, it was like everything that I had been reading in the spiritual scriptures was merged with this practical understanding of life, and that got married together to say, oh, this is it. Like how in Yoga Vashishta it says that everything outside of you is just an illusion, right? But when deeply I understood how scientifically, because it's all light and sound, how only information that is present in my mind, and based on that I can give meaning to anything outside of me, then that means it's a creation of my own mind. Because if there is no information, I have no way of giving any meaning to this thing that I'm seeing or hearing. That kind of just blew up all, I wouldn't say all, a lot of boundaries around of my own thoughts, my own perception of things. And that's when I thought this needs to be told. Okay, and of course, it needs to be in a sustainable way. And as you're aware, you're also doing this. We all have to create an identity, a niche for ourselves, and stand out and do something differently why people would be interested in us, right? And so then more loop of thinking, learning gradually, and then came the calm code.
Okay. Tell me, how do you differentiate yourself from other life coaches which are there in the industry?
See, I would say essentially, we're all human beings, and yet we are all different because of our values, because of our ethics, because of the way we do things, because of our needs, right? And I think just like, why does Baskin-Robbins makes 31 flavors of ice cream? Because they understand that people have different tastes, different flavors, different inclination towards things. I think that is what essentially separates and distinguishes each individual. So similarly, it's the way I bring out and I show up in the world with this tool that I have created, which is different, and it may not be essentially of value to everybody, right? It's only who will deeply connect with it. It's just like if somebody likes vanilla ice cream and the other person likes chocolate or strawberry, there's no right or wrong there, right? So everybody is doing the best they can with the understanding and ability they have, using their own unique flavor. So I would say I'm, somebody who understands deeply a woman who goes through all that stress and anxiety while she plays all those multiple roles, because I have done it myself. And my story also goes a little deeper because I lost my brother 22 years ago. And that I wouldn't have been able to talk about these things until I had been into the coaching world and my journey in 2022. I would never talk about this thing because it was too painful. I somehow never processed the whole thing emotionally deeply because I was just going through so much. There were responsibilities to take, there were children to take care of. So, and how it is looking at each other in the family. You even try to suppress your emotions, saying, oh, if I show my emotions, what about the other person, my other sibling or my parent? How are they going to handle it? Maybe they'll break down. So each one tries to suppress their emotions, and that's what I did too. There was a point where it started showing up physically in my body. This happened in April, and October of 2022, I couldn't walk. My body just gave up. So my entire right side, I had severe pain in my shoulder, my right leg. One morning I was just trying to get out of bed, no way that I could get out. And the first thing as we do is go to the doctor, because we have no other understanding. Went to the doctor, and the doctor said, okay, you've got bow legs, and it's early signs of osteoporosis. So unfortunate, but this is it. And maybe genetics, maybe whatever. And put me on meds, put me on things, and said, and even then I used to live on the first floor of an apartment building in India, in Gurgaon. And the doctor said, okay, just eliminate the cause of pain, don't climb stairs. I was just barely 30. And I was like, what am I going to do? If I stop doing this right now, I don't know how long I have to live, but this is no way to live at 30, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I was fortunate, and a friend of mine found an acupuncturist and a homeopathic doctor who helped me. I was under treatment for about almost 3 years. I started walking, running, everything, because while, how homeopathic doctors are, while talking to me, she did question, brought out everything, what had happened. And I had pseudomenopause, so I didn't even realize that I was no longer bleeding. It was my body had gone into such extreme shock. Life kept moving on. And I distinctly remember this moment. We moved to Muscat, Oman in 2005. And I was standing out of my window, just looking out of my window 3 days or 2 days later. And I said, okay, maybe nobody knows me here, because there's so much guilt and shame attached to losing a loved one to mental health. And that's what had happened. So I was like, nobody knows anything. Maybe I can start living again. And the same evening and day after, I had severe stomachache. 2 days later, I was under the surgery table, being diagnosed of appendicitis, which, I had not even known of, didn't exist while I was in India. So I was one by one, and this continued. I was one by one losing organs, which my body could do away with and yet keep me in that survival mode. And I had no clue, no understanding of all this until I did my life coach certification and realized how emotions played such a huge impact on our physical body, that the thoughts we create, because science has proved, right? If I create a happy thought and I'm thinking good thoughts, obviously endorphins are being flowed, and they're flowing into my body, and happy hormones are kicking in, and then they make the body feel light. But if I'm thinking thoughts which create stress and anxiety, cortisol is released in the body. And if I'm not moving enough, if I'm not processing it, if I'm not allowing it to flow out, or counteractively creating more endorphins, then it's like that acid that keeps dripping, and then it sits in the body, and then it just creates ailments. And that's what happened. I carried a pain in my shoulder for 20 years, which was just released in that 100 hours of coaching. So it was a world which I said, this is absolutely phenomenal. And I need to share this knowledge with others. I need to tell them it's okay, and there is a way we can feel physically, emotionally, mentally happy, accepting whatever has happened. It's not that challenges have gone out of my life and everything is very rosy. It's not that I haven't fallen ill again. What's different is I now know what's happening. I'm aware. And I think that is a very underrated skill today, awareness. Very underrated skill. And most people are not even aware of what's going on inside. I very recently had a client who, called me up, and we were to meet, and she said, no, I'm having a very bad headache. Migraine is coming up, so can we reschedule? I was like, sure, we can. And I suggested to her that, okay, you had not shared about this migraine before, but here's what I'd like you to do. And I suggested, a simple tapping techniques to become aware of her own internal dialogue, which, the body is trying to convey that message to you through that headache. And the next day she sends me a message. This is unbelievable that this was the first time, simply through tapping and, becoming aware of this thing, I could manage my headache without a pill. I was like, how beautiful is that?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And that's what drives me. Those are my aha moments. When clients come back with that feedback, it's like, great, brilliant. Let's do more of this.
Thank you so much for shining your light in this world. Much needed, much needed.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I am just humbled. And, every time I get an opportunity, I feel like probably this is my purpose of life. And this is what I was meant to share with the world through my own journey, through having lived that. So everything just seems worth it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Tell me, you did, normally through your course of conversation get into that, but let me ask the question explicitly. What have been your wow moments on this journey? Or
one was this. I'll tell you two more incidences which are very simple. They might even seem silly to somebody, but they always stay with me because it's like how simple life can be and how much we complicate it, right? Another one question that I'm deeply passionate about now is telling people to ask themselves, what do you think will make it easy right now? And our inner self always has those answers. As coaches, we are not trying to fix anything. We're not trying to suggest anything. We're not trying to force to do anything. It's only asking those right questions where you can bring that inner knowledge, because I don't even know what will be of value to you, right? Your journey, your life is your own unique this thing. So one afternoon, I had this call with a client, because I also do sessions online, in person, whatever works for the client. So the client was online, and as we got onto the call, she started off with, oh my God, I'm having such a bad headache, such a bad day, my throat is hurting. I just woke up like this. It's such a bad day. And since morning, I've had no time to sit, because she was taking the call while at work, because I work with the Emirati Women chapter as one of the coach mentors. So many of my Emirati clients, they take these sessions while at work, because it is part of their journey where they have been provided with this benefit of having a coach and mentor, and they can do it. So they do it. So she said, I haven't had time to sit. And she works in the healthcare sector. And she's like, a very acclaimed, accomplished woman at a high position. And I'm like, okay, tell me more about it. Like, what happened? Like, no. She went on. I'm like, okay, can you just stop? Just take a deep breath, ground yourself. Took 2-3 deep breaths together. And I said, okay, now ask yourself, what will make it easy? She said, what do you think? What will make it easy? Nothing, like, it's just a bad day. I'm like, no, just ask yourself. If something could help you make the situation around you a little easy, what would that be? She said, maybe a cup of tea will help. I'm like, okay, how difficult or how easy it is for you to have a cup of tea right now? She said, that's quite easy. I'm like, what do you need to do for that? She said, just make a call to the pantry and they'll give me tea. I'm like, okay, and how far or, how difficult is it to get to that phone where you need to make a phone? She said, it's on my table. I'm like, then do it. So sometimes it's just those simple moments where it's like, wow, we go through the day thinking, oh my God, it's like, because we never pause, right? Then there was another one of my clients, she's a director at, I wouldn't want to name the company, but a high profile woman herself. And though I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, or I never give my clients diets or anything. She had this challenge of, been wanting to lose weight and not being able to do so. So I said, okay, let's, talk about that today. And she began telling me, I said, like, okay, just tell me, what's the purpose? Like, what do you want to lose weight for? Right? And we got down to the purpose of it. Initially, it was all about very superficial, everybody and, the parents and people look at you this way, that way, whatever. What more, what more, what more? We kept going down, digging deeper, and then came to a point, okay, also to be healthy, right? And I said, okay, if you look at it that way, you want to be healthy, can you just make a simple change that every time you sit down to eat, first ground yourself? I'm a great fan of grounding. And when you began this session with grounding, I was like, wow, okay, this is my kind of conversation. So I told her we grounded. And then I said, every time you sit down to eat, just ground yourself, say a simple prayer and say, I trust my body to digest the food that I eat. And then look at your plate and truly ask yourself that question. Is the food on your plate healthy? Do you think it is going to nourish your body, or is it not? Then take a call. How much of what you want to eat and what? A week later, she tells me I've already lost a kg and a half. I used to have 8, 10, 12 dates, and then now I have only 2 or 3. When I'm eating, I make sure, how much I want to eat. And then she went out on a holiday and came back and said, after the summer break. So it was a long break because we never got back to that conversation again. It wasn't one of the agendas. And then she told me, I've lost 8 kgs of weight in the span of, I think, 4 months or something.
Just by doing simple things.
Just by doing simple things. So those are, I feel those are moments which just light me up. And, when I remind my clients of, how that child within, the inner child, and how they just continue to be that without realizing that now they are old enough and can take their own decisions. And when some of them cry and they realize, those moments are beautiful. Those moments are very precious.
Yeah, actually amazing. Tell me, during this journey, how long have you been running your business now for?
We're in 2026, so 5 years.
Wow.
I am going to renew my license for the 6th time, just preparing for it.
Tell me, there must have been challenges also during this time. Tell me some of those challenges.
Oh, yes. Challenge, yes. I think the biggest challenge is because I come from an education background where, I had lived that life of 30 years to just get up, go to school and do, and on some days if I was not even mentally there or probably not feeling well, somebody would remind me what is to be done, right? And then when I started working as a coach, I did not even know this is a business. The biggest challenge, the first time I realized, I of course got a license even before I had a business, because how prim and proper teachers can be, ethically do everything what needs to be done. And so I was like, okay, I'm starting my practice, so I need a license, I need this. I took all those steps and didn't know, so got fooled in the process of getting a license initially, and then not having a business for the first year, not realizing that how important it was to go out and tell people. My daughter used to say, "Mommy, you need to go out," and I used to say, like, go out where? Do what? Right? So I used to be so awkward when I first started going out. Even telling people what I did was very difficult, because you do not you and I both know, right? We do not have much time. We always say that first impressions matter, or you need to, come across as share your message very aptly. But when one starts, I think that's the biggest challenge. How do I share with people what I do? How do I tell them? Networking was a big challenge. I think that is something I'm still navigating my way through. Getting clients or wanting to work is a different thing, but wanting, getting people to pay you to work with you is another thing. I think a lot of people enjoy and love free piece of advice also, and yet when it comes to spending on themselves on such things, it's not yet very deeply rooted in our culture. We very easily go spend on physical stuff because that can be seen outside. Like a lot of women will go out, spend a lot of money in a salon, get their hair done, get their skin fixed, nails fixed. But if you tell them, okay, you pay an X amount to somebody to talk about your emotions and have that, people would rather prefer the route of taking a pill and shutting their headache rather than, sitting down and working on themselves. Inner work is not for everybody. Not everybody wants it. Not everybody is ready for it. We also live in a world of, instant gratification. Everything on quick demand. It's easy. You switch a button. So taking a pill, popping a pill is so easy. Your headache is gone, right? Why would you want to sit and think what happened, what's causing it, work on yourself, and then wait? I think that's a challenge. And I wouldn't say that there are not people who are willing to work on themselves. I think slowly and gradually there's more awareness, there's more willingness to try. It's still not really deeply integrated into our system, or I think not many people have the luxury, because there's so much to do outside externally, that they feel the easier way is to just push it in the background, move on.
So you talked about the challenge of putting yourself out there, networking, and also the challenge of changing people's perspective around taking or receiving life coaching, right?
Yeah.
Are there anything else?
I think those are the challenges at work. And, besides that, I think for me, there hasn't been any other challenge. I mean, as far as I feel, it's just about, if you talk about business as such, this is the only challenge I feel that I face, where, visibility, where's the right kind of audience I will find, because I'm very, now at this stage, initially I wasn't, but now at this stage, I'm very clear on, who would I want to work with? What kind of work do I want to do? And I do not feel the need to compromise on that. And I feel like, it's not everything is for everybody. Like I gave that example earlier also, right? So there's no right or wrong. And yeah.
So changing stances and coming to the last question for today. What would be your advice for people who are starting out on this journey themselves, their entrepreneurial journey?
I wouldn't give any advice, but I would just say, and I would encourage, follow your heart. Don't wait for that perfect moment, because perfection is an illusion. Perfection that means when things are just, done, then there's nothing left to do. So just do what, in fact, yesterday, like I mentioned, I was facilitating the wellness session for the Binational Insurance, and somebody asked me, and I said, look, when you have to do something, okay, everybody has a different desire for what they want in life. What I want in life, how I want to live, what I want to do is different from maybe what you want to do, maybe what others want to do. And there is no right or wrong. We all have our own individual, unique journeys here, and the purpose why we are here on this journey. And like as my coach said, right, we are all divine beings having this humanly experience, and the humanly experience that we want is very different. So we don't know the other person, so there's no advice. Only thing is just follow your heart, because there was somebody who asked me, I'm very passionate about dancing, and I want to have my own studio or something, and yet there are so many challenges, this, that, and then my mind says, is it logical, is it rational? And then so she said, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, thinking is different from following your gut. If your heart has, or if your inner self has created that desire, somewhere deep down it knows that you can do it. That is why, because I'm not thinking of becoming a dancer, right? I've never had that thought. Why? Because probably my inner self knows that's not the journey that I want to take. If your inner self is telling you that, now you're counter intuitively challenging it by, oh, there's this problem, that problem, itne hai, utne hai, whatever, how many thousands of challenges. That's all the rational and the logical mind. Jump into it, and then you'll swim through. Because like I said, I didn't even know this was business. I just started. I just did it. And somewhere along the line, I'm swimming.
Great. A simple, very, very clear advice that you have is to follow the heart.
Follow your heart.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Namita, for sparing time and coming on to our channel. Your journey truly shows grit, a lot of grind, and oodles of gratitude for what the universe has brought on your plate. So thank you.
Thank you, Dipanvita, and I am truly humbled and truly grateful to be here today, to be sharing my journey. I think previously I've never mentioned about my loss and the challenges like this as openly as I have today with you. And yes, the grind is on, the grit is there, and a lot of gratitude definitely I hold in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like this interview, please don't forget to subscribe by pressing the bell icon and follow us on our social media handles as we talk to more and more micro entrepreneurs who are living their dreams boldly.